All right, if you hold XRP, HBAR, XLM, Bitcoin, or any other altcoins, we got some big news to bring to you guys in this video. We're going to be bringing up the charts and comparing a lot of different things together to show you where we are in this macro market cycle compared to Bitcoin. Then we got some big news happening with Ripple, with Twitter, Elon Musk, with X payments, and also what just happened with BlackRock and HBAR that I talked about in yesterday's video. We're going to be expanding upon that because virtually nobody is ready for what's about to happen next that I'm going to talk about in this video. So comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, comment 777 if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, you know what to do. Confirm it by tapping that subscribe button. In fact, go into your shed where you left that old putter that you haven't used in a decade, grab the thing, take the like button and give it a tippity taparoo, sink the putt, because we're doing it for grandma, we're beating the SEC, and we're buying her house back with cryptocurrencies. You need to go grab your grandma, tell her to open her eyes, and look at these charts that we're covering in this video. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So what does grandma need to see so she can retire before 103? Let's look at the crypto markets with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP. XRP is still sitting at 52 cents. Some projects are up, some projects are down over the past week. But overall, we're sitting pretty good on the whole market cycle. And I'm going to explain this for you guys on where we're going next, where I feel we're going next, and then what the charts say and what the facts are showing. But just recently, for those of you who don't understand what just happened, first, quarter one of 2024 GDP growth slowed to just 1.6%, which is less than half of the 3.4% quarter four 2023 number. So this reading is below, it's about 50% below what Goldman Sachs expected, but it gets even worse. At the same time, the US core PCE price index soared from 2% to a staggering 3.7%. So we'll explain what this means, but this crushed estimates of 3.4% and further suggests that inflation is on the rise. So we have a weakening economy with rising inflation, the worst possible outcome for the Fed. And so the Fed, they have a few options here. Well, option number one is default on their debt. Option number two is essentially print more money. And so then eventually they're going to be lowering rates. But when the Fed prints more money, what does that cause for assets? Well, that causes crypto to go up. So the dollar will keep losing its spending power, and those that save US dollars will lose long term. I posted this in our Telegram group, and we brought up Bitcoin in comparison to every single one of the top fiat currencies of major countries, and every single one of them has lost over 99% of the spending power all time. So they're going to go to zero, and the safest assumption by Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's friend and business partner, he's a billionaire, he said the safest assumption is that the dollar is going to zero. Now, he didn't like crypto, but he said the dollar is going to zero. So where are you supposed to put your money if he believes the dollar is going to go to zero over time? It's simple math. If there's an unlimited supply of the US dollar, then it erodes over time compared to assets with a finite or a limited supply. So for example, real estate, there's only so much land on this earth. There's only so many properties on this planet, and you can't print more land, you can't mint more land. And so that's why real estate will keep going up in value. Gold, right? There's only so much gold on this planet. Sure, we don't know what the max supply is because you go and explode a volcano. Maybe there's 10,000 pounds of gold sitting in the center of the volcano. We don't know. But there's a limited amount of gold on this planet because there's a limited amount of land. And so gold, has always held value, and it's just proven over thousands of years. Same thing with silver. So, I've been stacking silver over the past few years and have that as part of my portfolio. Now also, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. When Bitcoin goes up, altcoins follow because the liquidity goes in the crypto market, and it's very easy to trade Bitcoin for altcoins on centralized and other decentralized exchanges. And so, we made this post on the community section of YouTube. You guys can check this out. But listen to this. This is where things are heading right now. If you're not ready for this, you're going to get left behind.
A decade from now, a 10-year-old will be able to run the SWIFT network on their smartphone. They'll be able to be a bank and a brokerage house on their smartphone. By the time they're allowed at 16 to open a bank account, they've probably spent 5 or 6 years using Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis as their currency. Because in a global connected world, credit cards don't work for minors, and they're going to end up using Bitcoin. In fact, we're already seeing this. So by the time they get to banking, they've got 6 years of experience with Bitcoin. Try explaining to them what 3 to 5 business days for clearing a check means. Try explaining what a check is. Try explaining why they have to pay you £5 to keep their account with you. Try to explain them what an overdraft fee is. While you're at it, you might as well sell them a landline and a fax machine, because they're just as likely to get one of those as they are to open a bank account.
So how is all of this going to be possible? Well, that's what Ripple is striving to solve through the XRP ledger. So the CEO of the company that just tokenized BlackRock's money market fund on HBAR is saying this.
30 to 50 trillion, all on XRP, all trading on RTX.
Here we go.
Behind my original projections, but the total market is 1.4 quadrillion, everything that's ever out there. And if you start looking across any of those asset classes, they're all starting to move on-chain already. And the ease with which we've seen people interested in the money market fund, tokenized treasuries, and those types of instruments, the support for stable coins, when you're talking about replacing cash, when I see DTCC, Euroclear, Clearstream, it only takes one of them to flip onto natively digital, and that's trillions of assets on its own that move. So, tens of trillions, I think we could see. And bearing in mind it's 1.4 quadrillion, this is still a tiny slice of a huge market. 30 to 50 trillion, all on XRP, all trading on RTX.
Here we go. $50 trillion.
So I know you guys have been hearing things like this for the past few years, and it's frustrating because it doesn't show it on the price chart. But this is no different than the past cycles with what I'm going to show you on the price chart, and I'm going to compare it to the past in a little bit in the second half of this video. So make sure you watch all the way to the end. But nobody is ready for when this is going to take place, and we can give some ideas on a rough estimate and a time frame that I'll show you based on the charts, and we're almost there based on the macro. When in doubt, zoom out. But Ripple plus DZ Bank plus Medico plus HSBC is how they're going to be able to onboard retail customers long term. So the setup is being set up in place right now. It takes time, and with this initiative to hit the mass market over time, when this happens, it's going to happen all at once, but it's been exponentially building. It's kind of like those pumps in your backyard that you have to pump up a water pump and nothing's coming out because you're building pressure. Then once the water flows, you just can't stop it, and it just flows effortlessly. So the liquidity needs all the pipes to line up in order to be able to flow. So it has to line up between all these different companies, all these different payment platforms, banks across the globe. So once all the pipes are aligned, then the liquidity can flow. Now also, pro XRP magistrate judge Sarah Netburn has been nominated to serve as the district judge for the Southern District of New York. So leading to the final settlement and the judgment for Ripple versus SEC, she's saying that my understanding of XRP is that not only does it have a currency value, but it also has a utility, and that utility distinguishes it from Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so what does this all have to do with, Twitter, X, Elon Musk, XRP, and all of that? Well, since Elon Musk acquired Twitter back in April of 2022 for about $44 billion, he wanted to completely change how the social media platform operates, along with a massive rebrand of the company. He bought X.com a long time ago, and he wants to turn X.com into, what's like an everything app that's over in China. And he's receiving money transmitter licenses. And when this article was written, he had 25 different states. So more than likely it's more by now. So he's preparing for this. And the increase of institutional adoption of crypto and blockchain is a result of more mature and highly secure products in the market that are fully regulated and compliant. Keyword, fully regulated and compliant. So with Ripple still going through this lawsuit right now, XRP has not gotten the full green light until they pay the settlement agreement, the case is done, and they're fully regulated and compliant. So with this acquisition, Standard Custody's limited purpose trust charter and its money transmitter license will contribute to Ripple's growing portfolio of regulated and regulatory licenses. So Ripple and its subsidiaries collectively hold a New York BIT license, nearly 40 money transmitter licenses across the US, a major payment institution license from the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and a virtual asset service provider registration with the Central Bank of Ireland. And so the acquisition of Standard Custody follows last year's acquisition of Medico, who you just heard about in that video, a custody solution preferred by banks around the world. And recently, Ripple announced its custody partnership with top-tier banks like HSBC, BBVA, Zodia Custody, and expansion to new territories for its Ripple payments offering, such as over in Africa to bank the unbanked, doubling down on its core business in payments and custody. Ripple supports live commercial custody offerings in 20 regulatory jurisdictions and payments into 70 countries around the world. So it's officially happening right now behind the scenes, and all you have to do to make money is connect the dots on what they're planning to do before they do it, and just back up your truck before the price goes up. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to give you financial advice. Go consult your financial advisor. Crypto's very risky. You could lose money in these markets, and these videos are purely for education, informational purposes only. But let me ask you this. Why would Ripple need nearly 40 money transmitter licenses, and why would X.com need over 25 money transmitter licenses if they weren't planning on implementing something within blockchain and crypto across the whole United States? Now, here's another thing that's interesting. Ripple was in a meeting with the head of domestic finance for the United States. So the Ripple versus SEC case is nothing more than a show, and it's to distract you and to shake you out of your position so they could accumulate more, because the wealthy don't want average everyday people to become wealthy. That's why they suppress information. They don't put the secrets in the books in the libraries. They keep it to the secret societies, and they have these meetings behind closed doors where they don't reveal it to the public. But when you look at the people that are in these meetings, it's very easy to connect the dots here. You can see Paul Wong, who's the director of products, CBDC, and institutional assets at Stellar XLM. You can see the corporate vice president over at Microsoft. You can see Mary Watkins, who's the senior policy advisor to the undersecretary for domestic finance and the former Fed attorney. You can see Matthew Reed, who's the corporate expert at the FDIC. He's the former treasury of the SEC. You can see the head of business development at Chainlink Labs. So common sense would suggest that to even get into this room, you have to be a part of the plan. You have to be a part of the new financial system. So Chainlink, XLM, XRP, HBAR, XDC, other projects that we've talked about in the past. Now let's get into the charts and let's see, when will this take place? Because we can talk about all of the developments and the partnerships that we want. You know, we've been doing that for the past few years, and yet the price action on the charts show otherwise. It's pissing people off. And so people know that something big is coming, but they want to know, when is it coming? So we need to look at multiple different indicators, compare multiple different charts together. And the first one that we need to look at is Bitcoin. So when we bring up the Pi cycle top and bottom indicator, and we could see that it's called the top of each bull run very, very accurately. It's also called the bottom, very close. This last bear market, it was a little bit off, but it was still pretty close. And as you guys can see, you know, we don't see a Pi cycle high or top or a Pi cycle low in. So the top is not in, and yet the bottom's not in because we just got out of a bear market. So to go back into another bear market right now doesn't seem very likely, because we're around the middle of the bull run because of Bitcoin's halving. So if we look right here, when the last halving took place, the third halving was May 11th of 2020. What happened after Bitcoin's halving, you know, we consolidated for a period of time, then we broke on out to go to the Pi cycle high. Cycle before then, the second halving was July 9th of 2016. We consolidated for a while, then we broke out to reach the Pi cycle high after that. And so we're going through a very, very similar phase. And so when we compare, you know, Bitcoin's dominance compared to XRP, which I've done in the past, and I've also drawn this up for you guys, how long after Bitcoin's halving does Bitcoin's dominance drop? Well, if we go all the way back here to the halving in June of 2016, it took about 233 days, roughly, give or take like a day or two, until Bitcoin's dominance went from 95% and then fell off a shelf all the way down to 35%. That's when we saw altcoins go parabolic. And so it wasn't when the halving took place, it was 230 days after the halving. Now, interestingly enough, if we look at the XRP price chart, XRP was all the way down here at 0.005, and it saw a little bit of a breakout to retest this zone of resistance at like 0.009, almost like a penny, and then saw another sell-off to liquidate everyone, then rallied on out of there when Bitcoin's dominance dropped 233 days later. Now, okay, we need to see if there's some congruency between each halving cycle and the Bitcoin dominance and XRP's price chart. Let's look at that. So let's look at the last halving that took place all the way back here in like April of 2000, I think it was April 2020. We can match it up on the Pi cycle indicator. This just tells us when this happened, right? Third Bitcoin halving, May 11th. It was May 11th of 2020. So if we look at May 11th of 2020, the halving took place. Bitcoin's dominance was right around 68%. It dropped a little bit to like 57%, then rallied back up one final time to about 70%, then fell off a shelf. So it took roughly 230 plus days, 231 days before it started dropping again. Now let's look at XRP's price chart in the bottom of the screen. Let's see what happened. When Bitcoin's halving took place, very similar to what happened back here in 2016, XRP rallied up a little bit, saw a little bit of a sell-off. We didn't see that deep of a shakeout event with this wick that happened back here in January of 2017. You guys can see this wick that brought XRP all the way down to like 0.003, and then it rocketed on out of here. But what we did see is a retest of this resistance, which is this horizontal yellow box that you can see right here. It acted as resistance back in February 2020, October of 2019, the exact same thing that we saw as resistance back in March of 2016, resistance in December of 2015, and also resistance in September of 2015. So very similar. So 231 days after Bitcoin halved by, what was December of 2020, when Bitcoin's dominance dropped from 70% all the way down to 40%, that's when XRP really started to break out and went upwards of, almost $2 for that bull run. Even though that bull run was cut short because they were going through the lawsuit, we've talked about that so many times. It took about 230 plus days after the halving before XRP really started to rally. And so what just took place recently? Well, if you look on the top and the bottom of the screen, we can see Bitcoin's halving just happened like less than a week ago. And so if this were to do the same thing that happened last few bull runs, and we were to look at this right now, where would that put 230 plus days for Bitcoin's dominance to start dropping? Let's say, for example, we see something happen to the last cycle where Bitcoin's dominance starts to drop a little bit, altcoins see a run, but then Bitcoin starts to take off to form a new high, and we see Bitcoin's dominance peak out, then drop off a shelf and do something like this, similar to what happened right around here during this phase, after Bitcoin's halving, and that 231 days, and then like another year after Bitcoin's halving after that. If we see something like that happen for the markets, it would be very, very interesting to play out very similarly. But what I'm expecting is roughly 230 days after the halving, which would lead into December of 2024 for XRP to do something like this, to not really melt people's faces, not really do too much, not necessarily fall apart, but to hold value or appreciate a little bit in value. And so in my opinion, it makes more sense for me to hold more XRP than I would hold of the US dollar because of what I showed you at the beginning of this video. Because if the US dollar just keeps going down in value and the Fed's only option is to print more money or default on their debt, well, 100 times out of 100 that we've gotten close to defaulting on the debt, they've always printed more money. Congress, Janet Yellen has always said,
well, really, that's it. We've been using extraordinary measures for several months now, and our ability to do that is running out, and we will start to run down our cash. And our current projection is that in early June, a day will come when we're unable to pay our bills unless Congress raises the debt ceiling. And it's something I strongly urge Congress to do. We do need to raise the debt ceiling to avoid economic calamity.
Begging the Fed to basically print more money. Otherwise, they're going to default on their debt. They're not going to meet their obligations and they won't be able to pay their bills. So she freaks out and then they print more money. They debase the currency and then that gets pumped into assets like precious metals, real estate, and crypto. And that's what's been happening over the past 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So crypto is just newer, but crypto is going to be more volatile, but you're going to see bigger gains in crypto. And so 230 days after the halving, that is roughly December of 2024. So towards the end of this year. So I would expect the chart to do something like this, where XRP maybe goes back up to retest this horizontal resistance at like 95 cents. It could flip it, hold it as support, and then just draw down towards the end of the year. And then leading into election, the Democrats pump the markets, they print as much money as possible, and then they pump that into crypto to make it seem like things are going well in the economy, when in reality, it's just forced asset appreciation. So, at the expense of a collapsing dollar, if you put your money in crypto, well, sure, you can become wealthy, but it sucks because everything goes up in the economy in price. So people that save money in dollars, the reason why they lose is not because they're saving money, it's because the cost of everything else is going up much more rapidly than the dollar can hold any of its value. And so you're having to spend more money on eggs, spend more money on gasoline. I mean, ask your grandma how much money was gas when she was a teenager. Probably a nickel or two. I talked with my dad about that. That's not that long ago. So for our generation, then the generation after mine, they're completely screwed unless they learn how to invest their money. And so if we look here, and we compare, Bitcoin's dominance to the XRP to Bitcoin price chart as well too, we can see some similarities here. So 230 days after the halving, what happened? Well, on the XRP, the Bitcoin price chart, Bitcoin halved. XRP saw a little bit of a rally up compared to Bitcoin, outperformed Bitcoin. Then it underperformed until Bitcoin's dominance started to drop. Once Bitcoin's dominance dropped drastically, XRP performed amazing in comparison to Bitcoin. Same thing happened back here in May of 2020. when Bitcoin's dominance dropped, it was about 231 days later. XRP performed somewhat decent compared to Bitcoin, but it was still in a downtrend. It saw one final shakeout event for XRP, and then by December of 2020, then XRP started outperforming Bitcoin. Now, one thing that's interesting to note is XRP has been in a macro downtrend in comparison to Bitcoin. And so through law of diminishing returns, hey, maybe this bull run cycle isn't as parabolic as any of the others. And maybe XRP doesn't perform a 10x this bull run cycle. That's possible. Maybe we have to wait until 2030 until XRP passes the all-time high. Maybe it only goes up to a few bucks. See, we have to look at those possibilities and weigh them, even though there's other people out there on the opposite end of the spectrum saying like, that's not going to happen because of all these partnerships that we've been sharing with you, and XRP is going to $100, XRP is going to $1,000, XRP is going to $10,000. And so towards the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a plan on what we're doing to be able to diversify and how we're structuring our portfolio, and in case the XRP underperforms, right? Because having a diversified portfolio is the key to growth. But if you're not holding any XRP, I just think that's dumb, because looking at the halving that just took place, Bitcoin's dominance is eventually going to roll around and it's going to start dropping because there's more altcoins in existence. And so it's increasingly more difficult for Bitcoin to absorb, a large chunk of the liquidity in the market. That's why we see back in March of 2017, the dominance was 97%. Back here in January 2021, it was 70%. And right now we're only 50% because there's over 2 million altcoins on coinmarketcap.com. So that means more of the money is going to get diluted across a lot of different projects. And so that's also why the law of diminishing returns will kick in. So you have to be in the strongest projects that are going to perform the best, because if there's more projects out there and if there's more money coming in, but there's more projects, it still dilutes the gains if you're not in the right things. And so with XRP right here, I would expect XRP to bottom out at some point in comparison to Bitcoin, and then to see a rally and outperform Bitcoin when the dominance tops out. And usually when the dominance tops out, it's like 230, 233 days after the halving. So Q4 of 2024. So that's why I've been saying, XRP isn't going to melt faces until the end of this year, going into 2025, because the lawsuit's not over yet. Regulatory clarity is still being worked out on everything. The altcoin macro market cycle on Total 2 as well too is gearing up for a breakout. So we need to see Bitcoin pass its all-time high to see altcoins start rallying. And then if Bitcoin's outperforming XRP, it doesn't mean XRP will do bad, because liquidity is flowing in the market as a whole. So XRP will still do good, but it makes more sense to hold, Bitcoin compared to XRP when Bitcoin's dominance hasn't topped out. Once Bitcoin's dominance tops out, and to understand exactly when that's going to happen, very, very difficult, very tough, because it could top out at any moment, or it could take 230 days. That's why you should hold some Bitcoin. But looking at the Total 2, we can see 1,085 days after the top was in. That's when the altcoin market started to rally after December of 2020. So if we see something similar happen, literally like next week, within like a few days from now, the altcoin markets could start breaking out. Now, if we have another shakeout event, this is the zone to watch for, around 880 to 820-ish $billion, somewhere around here. If we were to back test this zone, for a double bottom right here, then I would expect at some point the markets to start rallying upwards, unless there's a black swan event, some more war news. Maybe we come back down a little lower, but the charts are looking very, very similar. This is the hope stage of the rally where we're at right now. We broke out of the disbelief stage back here from January of 2024, similar to what happened here in August of 2020. Unless, hey, if we go even more parabolic, maybe this is just a more macro disbelief breakout right here, and we have a longer consolidation period to look for. There's also that possibility on the table. And then the hope stage might not even happen until Q4 of 2024. And then the true belief, thrill, optimism, euphoria might not happen until Q4 of 2025, because based on, if we go back here to Bitcoin's price chart, based on the 4-year market cycle theory, if we were to measure from pi cycle high to pi cycle high, it's roughly 4 years, 1,400 plus days. We measure from this pi cycle high as well, December 2017, to this one, a little bit shorter. But if we were to measure the all-time high of November of 2021 during that bull run, it's about 4 years. And so if we were to measure, let's just say from the pi cycle high of April 2021, 1,400 days, well, then the top would either be like right around February, March of 2025, or if we were to measure from the top of November 2021, 4 years, the top would be around like September, October, November, December, somewhere around there of 2025. So if we still follow the 4-year market cycle theory, we are early in this bull run, guys. You are very, very early. And so that's why it pays to be early and an early innovator. So when we look at HBAR, what happened to HBAR? Well, HBAR is a part of that plan. There's a reason why they partner with BlackRock and they're working with them. So when the halving took place back here in May of 2020, this chart doesn't go back too far for HBAR, so we can only look back to the previous halving before this one. What happened? Well, Bitcoin consolidated, saw a little breakout, then a back test, and then the final major bull run for the final stage of the market. Same thing happened for HBAR. HBAR saw a little bit of a rally upwards of 6 cents, final shakeout event down to like 2 or 3 cents. Then the rally took place right here. And so with this recent breakout that happened for HBAR, it was really just a back test of this previous zone as resistance that was support back in January of 2022, February of 2022, and it got rejected from it, wicked off of it. So we're back down to about 11 cents here. So if I were to trace this chart right here from the past up to where we are right now, it could look something like this. You know, HBAR could see a little bit of a rally up if Bitcoin breaks out, and then final maybe shakeout event as we trade within this bullish channel right here, and then the final breakout stage happening, you know, Q4, November, December of 2024 to break this range and hold it as support at around 18 cents. You know, 18 cents is the resistance we need to break through, hold as support, and then retest the all-time high. And most likely we would break through the all-time high. I think this will be much more parabolic than this. I think it would look something along the lines of this, where once we see the breakout for the total 2, which is the crypto total market cap excluding, you know, Bitcoin, then I think that's going to be the most rapid appreciation in the top altcoins that we've been mentioning with you guys. And until then, it's just accumulation season. You know, make more money on the front end. Go get another job, start another business, double down on your business that you already have, focus on passive income, learn about affiliate marketing, learn about some skill set that can generate you more income, because to accumulate as much as possible right now at these prices, even if the price goes down, to be accumulating even more, you know, when you go back to the past, after Bitcoin's halving, you know, imagine if you accumulate as much as you possibly could of Bitcoin at $9,000. We're at $64,000 right now. Imagine if you accumulated even more all the way back here at like, you know, $500. So every single halving, you know, is the best time to accumulate as much as possible, not only of Bitcoin, but your favorite altcoin. So HBAR is definitely going to be one of these projects. And also HBAR topped out. It did a similar topping, double top structure as Bitcoin did, where the first top in April 2021, HBAR was all the way up here like 48 cents. It did it dipped down to about 13 cents right here, and double top all the way up to about 59, almost 60 cents. And then we went into the bull market. So HBAR actually topped before Bitcoin. So HBAR is more in line with Bitcoin than a lot of these other altcoins that rally after Bitcoin tops out. And then the bottom for HBAR came in a little bit after Bitcoin's bottom in like December 2022, when Bitcoin bottomed at the end of November. HBAR was bottoming about a month, you know, it looked like about a month later. And so the top, roughly probably around the same time. Maybe it's a little different this cycle. We don't know exactly, but HBAR is most likely to move, you know, with Bitcoin. Now, XLM, you know, what are we seeing with XLM take place compared to XRP? Well, XLM and XRP, very, very similar. XLM is just like the little brother currency to XRP, and they're serving, you know, a smaller clientele. But XLM could have higher multiples this bull run. The all-time high is at 81 cents. It's currently at 11 cents right now. We see this resistance right here roughly at like 17 to 20 cents. Very similar to what happened back here in the halving. XRP had this resistance that it needed to break through at about 33 cents, this horizontal resistance. Well, XLM broke through it up to 11 cents, saw a final back test, and then it rallied on out of there to go to the all-time high about how many days after the halving? Well, if we were to look at May 11th of 2020 till when it finally started to break out, it took about 196 days to really start breaking out from here. And then we even back tested the previous ranges support right here. So about 238 days before, you know, it broke upwards of 34 cents. And then it took until the all-time high, 364 days. So about a year after the halving. So if we were to measure from, you know, like the current halving that just took place, my cursor can't go exactly on it, but let's just say the 22nd of April, you know, if we were to measure a year from right now, that'd be like April of 2025. So you guys are early right now. You know, XLM is in this macro symmetrical triangle. It broke from this falling wedge right here, and it didn't really do too much. It rallied up to retest this support as resistance at like 20 cents. And it's just been consolidating with XRP. So I think XLM and XRP are going to have a similar move together. And the chart could look something like this, where we just stay in this symmetrical triangle for an extended period of time, maybe break out, backtest this resistance, or we break out earlier, we can hold it as support, at roughly 17 to 20 cents. And then Q4 of 2024, we see the massive parabolic price action. And so you guys got to realize, and I know you already understand this, where, bull runs, they're 3 years, but the majority of the gains are made in like the final year of the bull run. As you guys can see, from December of 2018 until October of 2020, for 2 years, Bitcoin didn't really do that much. It ranged all the way upwards of $13,000, back down to $4,000, then kind of hovered at $10,000 post-halving for a bit. It wasn't until the Q4 of 2020, and then like 182 days later, it rallied to 5x. And so it's going to be like the last 6 to 12 months of the bull run. So you got time here. That's the best part about this. And I know it's frustrating because you want what you're holding to go up faster and more rapidly right now. Like, we want the markets to just take off right now. But wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit more time to accumulate more of the projects that you believe are going to do well long term? So, over the next 2 years, you have like, 3 to 6 months, maybe 12 months of accumulation right now until we go parabolic, to where then once it does go parabolic, you just have a bigger net worth that you can live on and you pass down to future generations. That's the way that I see it. So when your emotions are getting frustrated, frustration does absolutely nothing for manifestation. If anything, it blocks your manifestation. You need to be in a constant state of gratitude, because gratitude synchronizes your right hemisphere and your left hemisphere of your brain. It also synchronizes with your heart as well too. And that's when you think about what you want, and then it manifests quicker. So just be grateful for this period right here, where it's allowing you to shift your thought process. Instead of saying like, why isn't this going up? This is a scam project. This is doing nothing. Just be thinking, oh, okay, this is giving me more time to accumulate not only more XRP, more XLM, but more projects that I believe are going to do well through a diversification strategy. Now, I do have a warning though too, but this shouldn't make you feel fearful. This should get you even more excited, because when you look at this crash alert, 1987 versus 2024, we compare the charts together here. This was a cool post by the great Martist. And we talk about the S&P 500 index versus where we're at in 2024 right here with this breakout. If this is a dead cat bounce and we see a crash in the stock market and we see a shakeout event in the crypto market, maybe there's some black swan event that happens like COVID. We have to look at that on the table as like a worst case scenario. A worst case scenario is this 1987 or 1929 style crash that could take place. If that happens, then the best thing you could possibly do is double down on the front end, make more money right now, don't care about what your portfolio does, and get ready to buy that dip, because that's one of those dips that is a life-changing opportunity, because that's where millionaires and billionaires are made. So how millionaires and billionaires think is they take dips and sell-offs as buying opportunities. They don't get frustrated. They don't get pissed at what they're currently holding when they see it go down in value. You're not losing money until you sell. They don't sell. They don't get shaken out. They just accumulate more. They just keep buying more. For example, silver. Silver hasn't done much in price until recently with gold breaking out. And if silver goes down even further, we accumulate more. If crypto goes down even further, we accumulate more. If real estate goes down in value, well, then you better be focused on making money on the front end. And so what we're doing is we're going to be launching our crypto education platform that we've been working on for a long period of time. And we're going to give you guys exclusive early access to our underground guidebook for discovering 100x altcoins, so you can have that diversified portfolio, so you can be able to do your own research, so you can be able to find these projects that take off, that are sub, $100 million market cap, some of them even sub 50 million, sub 10 million, because a lot of these large cap projects, they're going to do well. In my opinion, they'll do like 5, 10x, maybe 15, 20x multiples. But where you get the real 100x gains is in the low cap or the micro cap projects. And so to get access to this early when we launch it, you can go to bullrunners.com. The link will be in the description below. You don't need any previous crypto trading experience. All you need to do is click the button on the page, put in your best email address. You'll be subscribed to our daily video newsletter, and you'll get the best information to help you prepare for the worst that's yet to come in the economy. Because together, we're backing up a truck all the way to the bank, grabbing the bags, packing them and stacking them, leaving no bags left behind, because we believe that the spending power of the dollar is going to keep going down in value. That's a fact based on inflation. The Federal Reserve has no other option other than to print more money. And what does that do to crypto? What does that do to blockchain tech? Distributed ledger technology. It causes it to go up in value. That's the truth. And together, we're all going camping on the beaches of the moon. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I will see you on bullrunners.com through the link in the description below. As always, you know what to do. Stay bullish.